Hi everyone, my name is Aurora. Today I'm going to tell you how my big sister Angry made me scared because she wanted to embarrass me at the most important moment. I'll tell you how it all ended. You see, over there on the couch sits Angry, the girl with a frowning face and the bushy eyebrows and no smile. Yep, that's my sister. She's always been like that. Her name even translates to mean. Angry is angry at everyone and all the time. She hates Mondays and Wednesdays and Saturdays. She's in a lousier mood than usual. She doesn't like coffee, tea, or water. She hates when people call her something other than her first name. She doesn't like transportation, phones, or social media. But there is one thing she doesn't like more than anything else in the world. Me. I, unlike her, was born only a year later, yet I was full of optimism. I loved the world, food, people, my friends. But you know what? Angry was much prettier than me. And I sometimes didn't understand how she could be so unhappy with a face like that. How? I wasn't a pretty girl, but still, I accepted myself and lived the way I was. Angry and I went to the same school, but we were always separate. One day I asked her if she went out. What do you care? Just if it's one way, can you give me a ride? I ran out of gas in my car. Not my problem. Shit, we're going the same direction. So what? Why are you so mean all the time, huh? Is it so hard for you to give me a ride? It's not a problem, I just don't care. Shit, that's why you don't have any friends. I don't need friends. You don't seem to need anyone at all. Yeah, and that includes you. Bye, I'm out of here. What a pain in my ass. She couldn't even give me a ride? I got to school late, of course, so I was in a bit of a rush. What's going on? Oh, hey, sleepyhead, what's up? Why sleepyhead? Your sister said you were home asleep. Of course she did. Listen, we had a meeting today while you were gone, and you got nominated for a fashion show in our school's name. What? Are you guys kidding me? No, we're not. It's just that everyone loves you. But that doesn't mean I'm good enough for a fashion show. There are strict standards. You can do it, and we'll take care of everything. Dread is my devoted friend, as are many others in my class. All my friends were trying to support me, and I got scared just thinking about it. They said they would do all the preparations themselves, so I just had to concentrate. I went home and told my family the news. Angry yelled at the top of her lungs. What? You? The day has arrived, and I thought I couldn't be more surprised. What do you mean? You and the show? You're in two different universes. You think so? It's obvious that you won't fit into any of the dresses they give you. The models have longer legs than you do. But I'll be there and you won't. But I don't need to be there. Did you hear about the prize? What prize? If you perform well, the director will personally give you a letter of recommendation to college. And even better, a college scholarship guarantee. What? Yeah. Well, let me participate. What? Why would I? Well, I'm prettier than you, and I will be the first one to go to college. You have more time. No way! Why should I give you that opportunity? You're a rat. A rat? Angry swung around and slapped me on the arm with a napkin, and I retaliated, and we fought again. It was the norm for us to tear each other's hair out, to kick each other, to bite each other. It was all so boring, but we couldn't help it. And that night, Angry was especially angry. She was hitting harder and more aggressively. I asked her to be a little softer, but she couldn't hear me. Her eyes were bloodshot. She grabbed a knife from the table and cut my hair off. I was in shock. I couldn't get away for a long time. Are you sick or something? What's wrong with you? Angry, without answering, ran out of the house. I got mad. I went to her room and found her diary. I always knew where it was anyway. I had just never read it. I had pretended I didn't know about it, but at that moment, I was ready for anything. I read the contents, and I found a trump card to hit my sister where she was most vulnerable. The next day, I got to school early, drew a poster, and waited for Angry to come in. The whole school laughed at her because everyone found out that she was in love with the most accomplished nerd in our school, Pimply Harry. Harry didn't seem the least bit embarrassed, but Angry, she never told a living soul how she felt, because she was always alone. I guess she had no one to tell. Angry walked out of class, I knew she was going to strike back, but I didn't know how. It was now a few days before the show, and I'd already forgotten that we were fighting. I was beginning to think she'd given up on me when that same night, I found my favorite dress shredded in the closet. I knew it was her retaliation, so I figured I was still getting off cheap. Okay, whatever. All that matters to me right now is the show, I told Dread. She encouraged me. We were busy getting ready. She was teaching me how to walk and get my hair and makeup done and picking out the right shoes. I felt more beautiful than usual, and this show made sense to me, gave me hope that I could be loved, not only as a friend, but also as a girl. Because people always see me as a friend, and there's no way girls would be jealous of their boyfriends. It hurt a little, even though I didn't tell anyone. So the day came. From the very morning, the excitement and buzz began. I went outside, but my car was out of gas again. How the hell? How could I waste it? I got gas yesterday. On a day like this. The car won't start again? None of your business. Come on, we're even now. You want to help me? Yeah, but keep in mind that my help is a down payment. You'll work it off later. On another day, I'd send you away. But today's not another day. Sit down. Where's your stuff? In the room. I'll get it. Sit down. You're wearing heels. Wow, how kind of you. Angry brought my bag down and put it in her trunk. We got there and they started dyeing me right away, getting me cleaned up. Angry was actively assisting the stylists at that time, getting irons and brushes. Her support was important to me. I got my makeup done, and I got up and saw myself in the mirror. Wow, you look good. Yeah, amazing. All right, get on stage. I walked straight back and forth, then ran backstage and started changing again, changing my dress. Everything was happening so fast, like in a factory. After a few minutes, the show came to an end, and I had to go out in my designer dress, which my classmates had prepared. Everyone froze in anticipation. I opened my bag and saw it and put it on. It looked weird, but I didn't care because I didn't have the time. What do you think of the dress? I don't know. It was made by my friends. I'll have to put it on. There's no time. Okay, go. Oh, wait. What? Your makeup. I'll fix it. Okay. She gave me something quickly, then I ran out onto the stage. But instead of applause, I got silence and contemptuous looks. As it turned out, the drawings on my dress, if you look from a distance, were clear. They were pictures of male and female genitalia. Imagine that. The exact same was drawn on my face. What? What is it? Then I saw my image on the big screen, and tears welled up in my eyes. I looked at my friends, but they were wondering what was going on as well. And when I turned around, Angry was smiling from backstage. She was pointing her fingers, 2-1, like she had me. All my hopes for a college scholarship, a bright future, and acceptance were just gone. I was destroyed. I wanted to cry so badly that I could barely contain myself. And then, abruptly, there was the sound of a microphone being turned on. It was Dread. Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Dread, and the guys and I made this dress ourselves. I understand your reaction. You're as surprised as Aurora herself. She hasn't seen our work before. But before you say, what an abomination, let me explain. This dress does not show horror, not shame, but our human biology in the first place. I don't know how much it goes against your views, but we, as members of the younger generation, accept our bodies for what they are. And with this dress, we fully support any member of the gender. Our bodies, our organs, it's not a shame. It is a shame to be silent about it and to turn a blind eye to not being enlightened. What's wrong with sex? We are 16 or 17 years old and we should know what it is, even if only in theory. We should know about ways to protect ourselves and understand that it's not something dirty, it's love. After all, we were all born in the aftermath of our parents' love, right? So, our dress reminds adults that we need to be open and honest with them. Now is the time to teach us how to do things the right way so we don't go astray. The audience erupted in applause, and I felt calmer. After the event, we were interviewed by reporters, and everyone took pictures with us. Angry left. When we met back at home, she was sitting in her room, not talking. 2-2, bitch. Angry threw me an angry look. I left and went to the after party. I don't know how long the war will last, but for now, I'm determined not to give up. With friends like that, I don't have to.
Hello, everyone. My name's Dick. I don't even know where to start with my story. Anyway, I found out my sister's secret, and I still can't get over the shock. I hope that you'll watch my story to the end and write comments under the video. Watch, like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I have a sister. Her name is Haley. She's extremely kind and good. Haley was always responsive, and many people loved her for that. There was never a time when she didn't volunteer to help someone. Her parents managed to raise her like this. Maybe that's why she's always been surrounded by people like that. Haley had a lot of friends, but of course, there were those who were jealous that she was like this. Her best friend was Lilith. They had been friends since elementary school. I still remember Lilith coming to our house for a sleepover, and it happened often. Unfortunately, her family was not like ours. Haley said that Lilith often gets home from her mother and stepfather. My sister even said once that she felt that adults were deliberately bullying her. Haley felt sorry for her, and she loved her more than anyone, which is why she helped her in everything, including financial support. For me personally, Lilith was basically not bad, but this girl often got into bad situations. Always adventures found her, and along with this, my sister suffered. And no matter how much our mother forbade her to communicate with her, Haley still stood up for her friend. If I turn my back on her, she'll have no one left. I won't allow it, she said. One day, Lilith came to us in the middle of the night. She was crying. She was shaking all over. As it turned out, her stepfather and mother drank a lot and began to take it out on her. They told her a lot of nasty things and forced her to clean up after them, forced her to beg on the street and buy alcohol for them with this money. Haley repeatedly interfered in their family affairs. She demanded that they change, even threatening the police. But they didn't take her sister's words seriously. I understood that she was worried about her friend, but on the other hand, I was terribly annoyed that she was picking at the dirty laundry of her friend's family. And I kind of felt like one day their friendship was going to go sideways for Haley. It seemed to me that either she would have a bad influence on her sooner or later, or my sister would still get into specific trouble. And just a couple of months later, both happened. Our parents gave Haley a car. It was old, but it was still good. My sister was beside herself with happiness. I had persuaded them to give her such a gift for graduation. I felt that she deserved it, because for so many years, there was not a single comment or bad assessment in her address. Mom and Dad were proud of her, so they agreed. As soon as my sister successfully passed all the exams and entered college, she and her classmates decided to have a party in honor of it. I agree the occasion is gorgeous. Haley didn't really want to go there, but Lilith was upset about her mother again, and they persuaded her friends to get some air. My sister agreed. In general, that evening, they went to the party. They were gone for a very long time, and my mother was already beginning to worry. As the clock ticked past midnight, my mother started calling my sister, but she didn't answer the phone. It was strange because she had never been out so late before, and she had never ignored the phone calls. I felt anxious inside and couldn't sleep, and then I heard the front door open. Haley came into the house. Her face was gone, and she looked as pale as if she had seen a ghost. My mother and I were very scared. We started asking if everything was okay. I saw that something had happened, but she didn't tell me anything. She said that everything was fine and that she said she was tired, and then went to bed. We were supposed to go to the school next morning. Haley woke up and didn't eat breakfast. As soon as we opened the door, we saw that the police were standing on the threshold. Haley looked nervous. The parents came out and they began to ask whose car was parked at the house. It was my sister's car. There was a dented bumper, and my father pretended to know that he had hit the car when he was driving into our garage. As proof, he showed a dent in the garage wall, which is already 4 years old. They apologized and left. It was clear that a serious conversation was waiting for them. But to a lot of questions, Haley just said that she had parked the car on the side of the road. Who dented her and when she didn't know. Because of this, I was afraid to go home yesterday. I'm terribly ashamed. I really didn't know how it happened, she said, and then began to cry. Her father and mother calmed her down, saying that the main thing was that no one was injured. I got in the car and we drove to school. She didn't say a word on the way. I asked her, but she said she didn't hear me. I asked the question again, and she seemed distracted from her thoughts. She said that everything was fine, gave me a strange smile, and continued driving. After a second, I realized I'd lost my phone, so I asked her to call mine. And when I picked it up, there was a message from Lilith. I still dream about yesterday's accident. I hope this man is alive. But what if he isn't? At the moment, I was paralyzed by terrible thoughts. Oh no, Haley hit a man, so the cops asked about the car. Then Haley said that the phone was lying under my feet. I handed her the phone and picked up mine. I was still replaying her friend's message in my head. She stopped in the parking lot and we went to class. I've been thinking about one thing all day. What if she knocked him to death? I have to tell my parents about everything, I thought. When I got home from class, Haley was already home. I went up to her and asked her directly, I know what happened yesterday. Don't you want to tell me anything? She suddenly jumped up from the sofa and began to justify herself. I didn't mean to. I didn't know this was going to happen. I didn't mean to. She cried in tears. My mother heard this and came up with the question, what didn't you want? The nurse hesitated and then said that she hit a man yesterday. What? And you're only telling me this now? My mother asked. Haley started crying, started making excuses. She said that Lilith called an ambulance, but she didn't know if this person was alive or not. My mother became hysterical. It was a long conversation. Then my mother got ready and went to the hospital to look for the victim. When we left the house, Lilith came up with us. She was also pale. When she found out we were going to the hospital, she tried to talk me out of it. Like, if he recognized Haley, the police would come. My mom said they needed to find out. Lilith came with us. Everyone was silent all the way, and there was tension in the car. Suddenly, Lilith asked, what if he was dead? My mother said sharply that it was necessary to sort everything out. She suddenly stopped in the middle of the road, turned to the girls, and demanded to know everything. Lilith was silent with her head down, and Haley told me that she'd had a few drinks yesterday and hadn't noticed anyone crossing the road. I saw him late, hit the brakes, and then I got scared and drove away, Haley said, wiping away tears. My mother was very angry. She started screaming in the car that she should have called her. I saw my sister crying. And if Dick hadn't found out, would you have kept quiet? What if that person was hurt very badly? What the hell were you thinking? When we finally arrived at the hospital and somehow found the man and my mother entered the room, they were met by policemen. The girls turned even paler. The policeman came up with the words, what are we doing here? After all, our father hit the car a long time ago. My mother was at a loss for an answer, and Haley confessed everything. She lowered her eyes and told us the same thing she had told us. We were in shock. The police officer said that you'd have to arrest her for driving under the influence, hitting a person, and fleeing the scene of the crime. My mom started begging me to talk about everything, and she started crying, and Haley didn't say anything, and I was terrified. A few minutes later, when she took his sister's arm and was about to lead her away, Lilith screamed that it was her. I shot it down. I asked for her car, not knowing how to drive. She stood up for me. She said and began to cry. The cop made a face. Where's the proof? He asked. Then the man came out of the room and he immediately pointed at Lilith. He had a bandaged hand. You were the one who hit me yesterday. I recognized you, he said, pointing at Lilith. Mom and I both breathed a sigh of relief. It was a good thing he only got off with a bruise. Oh, my sister was even willing to go to jail for her friend. Well, then there was a lot of trials, to be honest. I didn't think Haley was that kind. What would you do in her place?